I'm done. After that Gladiator 2 trailer, I'm just done with these sequels and prequels and reboots. This is just freaking insane. It's just way too much all at once. Like, we're just in an era where movie studios are just addicted of making prequels and reboots and sequels. Take a look at my list here. These are a list of films that I made on Filmbox of prequels, sequels, reboots that have come out since about like 2008. It's ridiculous. This is like 100-something films I was able to put together, and I actually feel like I might be missing some sequels and prequels. Like, there's just way too much here. I would say like 80% of these movies should have never been made. Like Terminator Dark Fate, first off, Terminator Genesis, I forgot to put that on the list. That film was crap and should have never been made. It was like a reboot. So we got a reboot, and then we got made a sequel here that was just crap. Mummy, trash, creatively bankrupt film. Oz, a prequel. Why did this exist?
All the explanation you need. Uh-oh. No. Whoa.
Ghostbusters. We got two Ghostbusters here. I liked Afterlife. Did not like the fourth one, Frozen Empire. Well, I thought it was alright. I feel like these two were justified of being made. This, just why? Power Rangers reboot. Fifth film of a franchise that never needed to be made. Fourth film of a franchise that never needed to be made. This never needed to exist. Okay. Why is there a Mary Poppins movie all these years later? You know, that's the sequel to The Shining. I thought that was good, but you get my point. This is just way too much. Way too much. Why is there the color purple? They also did a Mean Girls thing. It's ridiculous. Jurassic World, ridiculous. This should have died after like the 7th movie. I don't know why they want to milk these franchises. Studios really need to like calm down with this. It's Mean Girls, there's the musical. It's just way too much. Home Alone, absolutely insane.
This is the worst.
I think I got the important reboots and sequels on my list, but I think I might have been missing some. The majority of movie studios have an addiction to this trend, and they just don't know how to stop. So I think I might have missed some, but I think I got the main ones, and I think I made my point pretty clear. And like I said, the majority just should have never been made. Some of them are really good, and I'll touch upon that later, but the majority of them are just like, why do you exist? And I didn't even begin to talk about the future sequels and prequels and reboots that are planned on being made or going to be released really soon. The one that everyone's talking about right now, a sequel that's being made like 20-something years later, is Gladiator 2. We all saw that trailer. We all saw how much it reeked of a movie studio just banking on the nostalgia of the first film. It looks like the first film all over again, but just with rap music for some reason. It's just the time of a Gladiator sequel has passed. Like, they had their time to make it back in the early 2000s, at latest 2010. But now all of a sudden they want to make it in 2024 because it's the trend to revive everything that's just a classic, I guess. And it's really disappointing that there wasn't restraint. There wasn't holding back of making a sequel, especially when there wasn't any need to make one. Speaking of the many reboots and sequels that are coming out this year, we got The Crow. Don't know why or who came up with the idea to reboot this film. It's just completely and utterly unnecessary. There's also Beetlejuice 2, which I don't really feel like we need a sequel to that, but I do see potential for there to be a sequel. Tim Burton's coming back. We'll see how it's going to be made. Tim Burton does some great films, and then he does some not so great films. I just hope that Beetlejuice 2 is going to be justified of existing, because based off of the trailers, I don't really feel like they're making this sequel for a real and true purpose, just for nostalgia bait and a cash grab. Hope I'm wrong though, and I think there is some potential because there's Tim Burton and he's back at the helm as director. We are also getting another Wizard of Oz prequel, again with Wicked, and it's going to be a two-part film, two-part story. The part one is a prequel. The part two is going to be a retelling of the original movie that we got all the way back in the 1930s. Now, I'm a really huge fan of Wizard of Oz, and I do like some of the retellings of the story. Like, there's a retelling where it's like a realistic take of the story, and then there's a darker take of the story. But Wicked, it just looks like stuff we've already seen. It looks like it's just a retelling with certain things updated and new special effects. It doesn't look like it's doing anything new with the story. And I just find it hilarious that this part one's gonna be a prequel and part two is gonna be a reboot of the original story. It's sad. It's really sad. We also have movies that are coming out years down the line, a few years down the line, like Toy Story 5, which is gonna be the third ending, I guess, to the Toy Story franchise, even though it ended back in 2013 with the third film. For some reason, they want to make a fifth film that's like a true ending to the franchise. Because also the fourth film, I think, was supposed to be an ending as well. I don't know. They're just trying to milk this thing. Like, it's glaringly obvious. Also, sometime in the near distant future, there's supposed to be another Terminator reboot. They just really want to beat the dead corpse with this franchise. They just want to bring it back and watch it lose money over and over and over again. It's gonna lose money again, and it's most likely gonna be bad too. Like, I believe there's like a 75% chance that this is gonna be another bad Terminator movie, because we haven't had a good Terminator movie since Judgment Day, and that film came out in the 90s. We are in the 2020s. Like, let this franchise die already, please. Or do a TV show or something. I like the Sarah Connor TV show that came out. Do something like that. Leave the movies, just let it die, please. I feel like every time they bring Terminator back, it's worse. It's worse and worse and worse. And there's just so many more I could break down, but it's just way too much. Every film, everything is just getting some sort of reboot. Like, can we just not? Please? Just leave some things alone. I and many people are just not excited for these sequels and reboots. And for the majority of them that get announced, it's cringe and it's worry. It's not excitement. Because a lot of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, when they reboot, sequel, prequel, it's just the original film again, or it's lazy, or it's just poorly written, poorly put together, and there's no care put behind it, low budget. No, there's so many different things that go wrong with these films because they're not being made for the purpose of justifying a good story for a sequel. They're just being made for a quick and easy $1 million. And they put like the cheapest people behind it. And when I say cheap, I mean they put hired people that put these films together, and it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like there's soul and heart behind it. It just feels like a lot of times there's these executives that are just manufacturing these films to become so soulless. And I think a lot of people have made a lot of these points already, but I'm done. It's so frustrating because the money that are going to a lot of these pointless sequels and reboots could be going to great original projects from up-and-coming writers and established writers in this film industry. Also, studios, if they can't get the reboot and whatever in the form of a movie, then they end up moving it to television. And I just want to state right now, I have no problems with the way TV is right now. TV is the place to watch great storytelling, great writing unfold. Yes, there are a lot of stinkers for sure, but the people that say like TV is dead or TV is just has no soul and it's not as good as it used to be, I just disagree really just passionately. I think TV right now is at an all-time high of great content. Some of the best shows that I've ever watched are being made right now. But at the same time, you got reboots and sequels and prequels. You got them all mixed with television as well, and it's not at an all-time high like movies are having the problem with right now. It doesn't feel like all they do is make reboot after reboot and sequels and prequels. TV right now has more original content than they have a bunch of random sequels and prequels. But TV still got that problem because we got Avatar, The Last Airbender live action show, which was pointless, and you got The Rings of Power, another prequel. But I think the most frustrating case of this trend in Hollywood right now is what Warner Brothers is doing with the Harry Potter franchise. They could be doing so many things with this universe. We can go back in time, we can go forward in time, we could tell so many different wars. We can tell the story of like the creation of wizards, James Potter TV show, something I really want, or James Potter movie, Voldemort. We could be doing so many freaking things with the Harry Potter franchise. And you know what they're doing right now? They're doing a TV show. And you think, oh, a Harry Potter TV show, a TV show taking place in the universe. This is really cool. We're finally getting something we've been wanting for a really long time, especially with HBO Max now. And there's like so many limited possibilities like for telling stories in this universe. And you look into it and it's a reboot of the movies we just got 13 fucking years ago. Are you out of your mind? What is wrong with what is wrong with these people? Why? Of all the possibilities we could have gotten, we get a reboot of the same movies that we just got. The same fucking story. They're just telling the same story. We're just gonna get a reboot of Harry Potter every 10 fucking years? Like, are you kidding me? Like, this was probably the most frustrated I felt from this trend. Like, the people that run Harry Potter in the wizarding world right now are so creatively bankrupt. It's sad. It's so sad. And I'm really happy for the people that want this reboot. I know things got left out of the books, but you gotta admit, come on guys, this is way too soon. 13 years? I'm 21 years old. I should be in my 40s when they decided to do a Harry Potter reboot. I know Fantastic Beasts wasn't popular with many people. I personally was enjoying that series. It was something new. We got to see young Dumbledore, you know, and then I thought once they got done this prequel series, then we would get sequels with the original cast. Now it looks like all of that is just done. It looks like they're done with Fantastic Beasts. They're not doing some sort of sequel series with the original cast. They're just like, fuck it, let's just retell the same story because we need money. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. That's all that needs to be said. It's pathetic, in my opinion. And I know that studios have the potential to be more, to do more. I have seen talent. I've seen great movies in the midst of all these sequel crap, and there are some genuinely great films. There are talented people in this industry right now making great content. And that's why I also disagree with the narrative that Hollywood and movies are completely dead, because they aren't. There is great films still being made. And even in the forms of reboots and sequels, there are still some great films in there. Like, you got Blade Runner 2049. You got Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is one of my favorite films of all time. And I still want there to be sequels. Don't get me wrong. There's just way too much of it. Way too much. And 80%, like I said, is crap. 20% is good to great. There's also a lot of great original films being made, either in the US or internationally, like Parasite. That's a great film. 1917, that's, I believe, was a film that was made in Europe. That's a fantastic film, a very creative way of making a film all in one shot. One of the best war movies of all time. You got A Quiet Place, a film that's completely quiet, you know, it's like a nod to old cinema, just the fact that there isn't a lot of speaking going on, and those films are just like are creative in the way like it keeps you at the edge of your seat. They might be milking that franchise a bit now, but still, that first one came out in 2018. Second film, they somehow made it even better, and the second film is honestly one of my favorite films of all time. Also, just look at what A24 is doing right now. They are letting their writers and directors have creative freedom that a lot of big budget studios should be doing too. Now, some of the A24 films, they maybe let their directors and writers go a little too far, and it's a little too artistic, but I just appreciate seeing a director's voice being heard, director's voice having some sort of message, or having some sort of film that has soul and heart to it. Every A24 film I have ever watched were films that I felt like real people were making. It didn't feel like it was manufactured or anything like that. And also, A24, when they do make a great film, they make a great freaking film. Some of my favorite A24 films is After Sun. I watched that last year. That film it's one of my favorites, all-time favorites. Highly recommend. Hereditary, it's a great film. The Zone of Interest, Lady Bird, and Moonlight. Oh, Moonlight is a fantastic, beautifully made film. And I could go on with what A24 is doing. And these popular studios do make great films, and they do allow some of their directors complete freedom and creative control. Like with Barbenheimer, both movies felt like real movies that weren't manufactured or anything by executives or whatever. They felt like films that were genuine, that made you feel something. Barbenheimer, both Oppenheimer and Barbie, were really good films. And I don't think Barbie was the best thing ever. I think it's a solid 8 out of 10 film, but it could have easily been a 2 out of 10 film, because if it was made by a studio that just wanted an easy cash grab, it would have been like that, because the majority of something like Barbie is bad. It's stupid. Barbie isn't a stupid movie. It's a cleverly creative, made, well-crafted film. And Oppenheimer is Christopher Nolan. Enough said. So what's the solution to all of this mayhem? It's all about balance. While it's understandable that studios want to capitalize on established franchises, it's equally important to invest in new ideas and voices. Successful reboots and sequels should honor the legacy of their predecessors while bringing something new to the table. And also, we just need a lot less of these sequels and reboots as well. They really need to think to themselves, does this need a reboot, or does this need a sequel or a prequel? And 9 times out of 10, it should be no. A lot of them are really just not necessary, and I think audiences are just about done with these studios endlessly continuing franchises. It's been showing in the box office too, with movies like Indiana Jones style of crap and Ghostbusters 4. The reality is people have become very jaded towards sequels and reboots. I think studios will learn that people don't really want these endless sequels anymore, and we want more Oppenheimer and Barbie and less of all this other crap. I think by 2028, studios will switch up their trend towards more original and creative content once more. Also, fingers crossed that a lot of these sequels and reboots get scrapped, especially since a lot of them are losing money right now. You know, just scrap the ideas, use that money for something new and original. Only time will tell, but I just want to say right now, Hollywood isn't dead. Yes, these sequels and reboots need to die, but there's still great content and creativity being made in this industry.